Ons oor. Onze dierbare Heer en Meester. Heer, ons kom sê baie dankie vir 'n uur wat gevorder het tot hier, Here. Dankie vir ons gesondheid, dankie vir u genade, liewe Vader. Hemelse Vader, u wat ons besig is met 'n vergadering. Ag Here, wees u die onsigbare gas. En laat ons dit eer tot eer van u naam sal doen. Here, ons is nie vandag werd om so baie van u te vra nie, maar Heer, u is 'n God van waarheid, u is 'n God van reinheid. So kom bid ons, Here, waar ons swak word, vat ons swak hande. Maar Here, wees hierdie voorsitter van ons van vandag. Here, kom, steek hom agter hierdie banke weg en laat hy ons sal lei om die uitbreiding van ons werke te sal doen. So kom bid ons, Here, ons nie omdat ons dit verdien nie, maar ons vra enkel uit genade met baie, baie danksegging. In die naam van Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Dankie.
Thank you, Councillor Aniki. Sorry, Councillor Erika. We appreciate your prayer. Before we start, I just want to say, Amen. This is the first MPAC meeting that we are not on time. So I want to urge all the MPAC members. I know this is the first time that we are back in council. Normally, when we are online, we are on time, and this is the first time that we are not on time. So for the people out there that are listening, apologies for that. We will start with a roll call first. Councillor Aniki, she's there online. Councillor Aniki, just say hello to us, please.
Good afternoon.
Are you there?
Yes, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair. Good afternoon, MM, and also directors and all our attendants is there. Thank you.
All right. While we are busy with the people online, we can also greet Councillor Kutsia. I understand Zokundi is also there.
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Yes, I'm present.
Thank you, Councillor Kutsia. I think Councillor Kutsia is in for Marilyn Kannemeyer, who made an excuse. She can't be here. Then Councillor Mvumvu is here. Councillor Erika Meyer is here. Councillor Gous is here. I didn't receive any excuse from Councillor Porter from the Patriotic Alliance. And then I see Councillor Gwaza from the ANC is here. And Councillor Wellman is also here. Councillor Erika, Councillor Reiters, Rosina Reiters is just a Sekundi. She's not here, but it's fine. She's not really need to be here, except when she stand in for somebody. So first, welcome to all the councillors from the different political parties. And I just want to say we are also a quorum. And then I also want to welcome the municipal manager and his team. The Director of Infrastructure is here, Mr. Director Naidu. Corporate, Mrs. Potgieter, Annette. Financial Services, Orlando Fredericks. Director Community Services, Elise Nel. And then I think online is Mr. Karel Venter. Mr. Venter, are you there? Mr. Karel Venter, can you hear us?
I think Mr.
Why-
Venter might be on his way to council chamber. I think
Okay.
Load shedding, they have an issue at that building there.
Oh, okay.
They don't have connectivity, so he might be on his
All
way.
right. So we will wait when he either arrives. You can just indicate to me when he's here. And then I think we also receive an apology from Mr. Graham Lategan. It can't be here. Then I also want to welcome the Auditor General's team, Senior Manager Mrs. Nzamela, and then also Assistant Manager Mr. Michael Sobalisa. Henry, are they online at the current moment?
yes, Chair, they're on online, but they can unmute themselves and address the impact as well.
Mrs. Ndamela, are you there?
Good afternoon, Chair. Yes, I am here. Good afternoon to all the members of the committee and the management team. Thank you.
All right, and then also just want to find out if Mr. Michael Sobaliza is also present. He can also introduce himself.
Good afternoon, members. I'm Michael Sobalisa and I'm present in this. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And then I also want to welcome Mrs. Marna Kun, there from the MM's office. Thank you for your presence. Mr. Henry Laus, our deputy. Just my name for him. And then also I want to thank the IT team that assist us here, Julian and Keanu. And then we also have a camera lady here. I hope I pronounce it correctly. Is it Sayali? Sayali. Okay. So welcome also to you. The reason for our meeting is just one agenda point. It's time for our, I think the most important meeting in the municipality is our annual report, the consideration of the 2023 annual report. So the book year meaning is 2022-2023 book year. We will have the meeting in this fashion. We will first ask our Auditor General team, Mrs. Nzamela and Mr. Michael Sobalisa, that we have their presentation first. And after that, we can have ask questions for them. And then we will have the municipal manager also to have his presentation. So Mrs. Ndamela, if you are ready, you can start. Thank you so much. Mr. Karel Ventris, you're welcome.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you once again for allowing us to be part of this discussion of this meeting. From our side, we will do a presentation. Michael is going to take us through the presentation. The presentation will overall firstly cover the AGSA's responsibility, what the AGSA does, and therefore we will zoom in into the audit outcomes. And they will also discuss further the areas that we consider as key areas of discussion with this committee. And I will now just hand over to Michael to take us through. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thanks a lot. So I think Sisindosha has just mentioned that the presentation will cover first our mandate, our strategy, the audit outcomes, the material irregularities, and then the root causes thereafter. I'll start the presentation over, starting with our vision and mission and values. So the AGSA's vision is to be a relevant supreme audit institution that enhances public sector accountability. And our mission is to strengthen the country's democracy by enabling oversight, accountability, and governance in the public sector, thereby building public confidence. Our values are, I think we've mentioned a bit of ourselves there. We care for each other, we build trust, we do the right thing, and we excel in what we do. And moving on with the presentation, I'll go over to our organizational strategy. I think it has been mentioned quite a few times of what we aspire to do. By 2030, we actually have a culture shift. We actually plan to not just focus on reporting, but also focus on the impact of our audit work on the general community, which is how are they experiencing the municipality services, how are they receiving the government services. So our aim is not just to now only report on or reflect on the reported information, which is your performance information and financial, but also we want to be more involved in having impact, showing off or reflecting on the impact of the municipality and government services to the community. I'll move on with the presentation. I think in this slide we generally just show all the people that are actually involved in the process or in the system of the government and how this actually gets to the community. But I don't think diving into each person now would be, or the in-depth presentation here would be good. But I think maybe later on we can perhaps come back to it. On this slide, we mentioned quickly the role of council in terms of the financial statements audit, the performance audit, as well as the compliance audit. I'll also not mention the context thereof, because I think council is quite aware of their responsibilities in terms of their financial statements, as well as performance, as well as compliance. So where we actually get to now is the audit outcomes for 2022-23. In overall, the audit outcomes for 2023, we have an unqualified audit with no material findings, and this has been consistent for the last 3 years consecutively with no issues identified. Just to mention that this has been consistent with all the types of audit, which is the financial statements audit, the 8th OPO audit, as well as the compliance audit. Moving on to compliance requirements, I think here we'll just want to mention that in terms of the control environment, we generally feel that the control environment is very strong in terms of your proper record keeping, as well as your daily and monthly monitoring, in year and end of year reporting, as well as the review and monitor compliance. But I think we just want to outline one issue that we've identified this year that could have compromised the status of the audit opinion in the current year, which is the finding that we've raised on the contingent liabilities, which was actually material and would have not been resolved, or it would have caused the municipality the clean audit status. Moving on, I think in this slide, we just mentioned a few issues when it came to the financial health of the municipality. I'll start off with revenue. We're saying that there's an increase in the data collection period from 44 days to 53 days from last year, and we're saying that this is concerning because it actually reflects that the municipality is unable to recover its debt. Further, also in the debt impairment provision, we are actually saying that there has been an increase in the debt impairment provision from 44% to 53%, which suggests that there is an increase in the uncertainty of recovering debts from the consumers. Then we also just mentioned about the distribution losses. When we start with electricity losses, saying that it decreased from 13.3% to 13.8%, which also it is within the norm. But I think we're saying we want to just outline that the effort that the municipality has put in on attaining or to reducing the losses has not yet yielded. Then moving on to water distribution losses, we see that there has been significant changes, especially coming from the last 3 years where we were actually above the norms to below the norms. So there we're saying that we have actually commend the municipality for moving away from the non-norm to norm. Then in terms of expenditure, the creditors payment period, we're saying it's consistent with that of the previous year, but the issue, or what we see as an issue, is that it actually does not reflect on the compliance requirements of 30 days. So in terms of it being 56 days and the requirement being 30 days, we're seeing that as an issue in terms of perhaps there might be a compliance issue in the future if there wasn't in this year, because there wasn't currently in the year. And moving on to amounts of surplus, then again, they were saying that last year the municipality was in deficit, but this year they're actually in surplus. We commend them for that. It actually means that the revenue streams have increased, as well as the operating expenses have probably been managed better in the current year, because now there's a surplus instead of what there was in the previous year. In overall, the impact of the financial health, we're saying that it's good compared to the previous year, because the previous year it was actually evaluated as concerning. And moving on to performance information. Performance information in general, there hasn't been any issues for the last 3 years as well. But then we would like to just reflect on the two indicators that relates to the service delivery. In this case, this is reviews TL37 and TL36, which were not achieved in the current year. And this is a result of a session that was planned to go out to the community to inform them of how to apply for indigency. That did not actually happen. This actually relates to the provision of free basic services for refuse as well as cleaned pipe water, where we did not meet any the planned targets. I'm not sure if there's questions at the background.
No, not at the current moment.
Thank you. Then in terms of compliance with the laws and the regulations, I think there hasn't been any issues for the last 3 years as well. There hasn't been any material findings in terms of compliance, and this has been consistent. And moving on to procurement and payments as well, there hasn't been any issues identified within the last 3 years of our audits. Then just speaking to irregular expenditure, we do note that there's been an increase from the last 4 years, a decrease from the last 4 years, but then we still want to mention that there is irregular expenditure disclosed in the financial statements of 3.9 million. This, when we have audited it, we found that it has actually been investigated by the disciplinary report, and it has now been referred to council for approval for condonation. But we also want to mention of the 3.9 million that was identified by us, but this has also currently been investigated by our office in terms of the technicalities thereof. It seems that we might have to actually investigate further as to how this can be resolved going on to the next year. Moving on to fruitless and wasteful expenditure, we did not note any fruitless and wasteful expenditure, and this has been consistent for the last 4 years, as noted here. In terms of annual unauthorized expenditure as well, we did not note any issues, but then we would like to outline that there has been there is disclosures of unauthorized expenditure with 237 million. This came from the previous year. This has also been investigated and by the Supreme Report and has been referred to council. But then we also have another one incurred in the current year of 2.1 million, which is under investigation by the disciplinary report. Moving on to the material irregularities. In terms of the material irregularities, we just want to emphasize or sort of share again or remind council of our responsibility in terms of assessing the material irregularities as part of our audit process. So I will not go through the definition of what a material irregularity is, but then it's important that we share that we do, when we auditing, especially compliance and other sections of the audit, go through or assess our issues, our findings in terms of the MIs. But to date, we haven't had or identified any MIs in terms of the municipality. Moving on to the root causes of the issues, I think in overall we said that the root causes are inadequate reviews and monitoring of applicable legislations, insufficient review controls in place. So these are the overall issues. But in terms of our key recommendations to the accounting officer, we listed the following: to improve review and monitoring processes to ensure compliance with applicable legislations, to revise the SM policy practices in terms of the PPMFMA and PPR 2022 to prevent further irregular expenditure, to consider the VAT implications on all fundings received and ensure compliance with the VAT Act and apply principles contained in the VAT 419 guide. And then the last one is to improve review processes to ensure accurate and complete financial reports that are supported by evidence or reliable information. Then the commitments that were made by the CFO, I think in this case, we have the CFO has taken into account all our recommendations as listed above, and there has been now action plans that will be put in place to address these root causes that we have identified during our audit. I think moving on to last year's reflecting on last year's report to council, we've made a recommendation of the following, which is to improve the review process between accurate and complete financial reports. But I think to date we have had repeat findings that have occurred from the previous year to this year, meaning that that has not yet been implemented successfully to date. And moving on, I think in the slide we're just stating that the general report was tabled on the 31st of May, and I think at this time already council must have already noted or take side of the reports. I think on my side, I think that's it for the presentation. Tosh, I'm not sure if you're there to add on my words. Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Thank you so much. Chair, if we may give back to you to maybe indicate if there are any questions for us based on the presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you to the Auditor General's Office. I just want to ask before I go to questions, your presentation, can we have it available for us?
Yes, Chairperson, we will send it through to the municipality to share with the members of the MPAC. Thanks, Chair.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions for the Auditor General's Office? Is there no questions? At the current moment, it seems there's no questions. It's a bit difficult at this time because we need the document in front of us to go through all through your whole presentation, because there was a lot of interesting stuff that came out of your report. But after, because this annual report is also going to council, so after we receive it from your office, we will go through it. But we also want to thank you so much for your presentation. We really appreciate you every year. And if you want to stay in the meeting, you're welcome. Otherwise, if you have other commitments, we will excuse you. Thank you so much. Appreciate.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Chairperson. I will request that we be excused. We will share the presentation, and if there are any specific questions that the members have, they can direct them to our office, specifically myself, so that we can respond to those questions. Thank you very much, Chair, and then we'll be excused.
All right, thank you so much. We will also put in, we can also put in questions in writing.
Yes, thank you so much, Chair. Bye.
Thank you so much. Appreciate. All right, now we can have the address, it's fine. Now we are going back to our own business, and we asked the municipal manager to give his presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Obas is going to share on the screens. Just waiting for Obas. Thank you, Chairperson and members. It's really nice to have you in the council chamber for a change. It hasn't been like this for many months. Yeah. Chairperson, I'm not going to do a long presentation. It's 15 slides in all. We're going to talk about the legislative framework or context as in the MFMA Chapter 12, which obviously include the accountability cycle. And then we're going to just mention the components of the annual report, And then one slide on the audit outcome. We will jump that because the Auditor General has just also give us the information. And then we'll share a few service delivery highlights out of the report. And then the last slide will be on the ratios of the municipality, which you have seen at the last MPAC meeting on the Section 52 report. Yeah. So, Chairperson, without any further ado, if we look at that, Chapter 12 of the MFMA, it talks about the annual report. And if we look at Section 1.1.1, which is in Chapter 12, it says every municipality must for each financial year prepare an annual report in accordance with Chapter 12. The Council of a Municipality must, within 9 months after the end of the financial year, deal with the annual report of the municipality. So the 9 months is basically from 1st of July up until the end of March, where we are now, Chairperson. Thanks, Obas. Now, we're still in the legislative context. The purpose of an annual report, as can be seen there, Chairperson, those three points, very important, to provide a record of the activities of the municipality during the financial year to which the report relates, in other words, 22-23 year, to provide a report on performance against the budget, and to promote accountability to the local community for the decisions made throughout the year by the municipality. That's very important, Chairperson. If we just look at the graphic at the bottom, the IDP is in the middle, which from which the budget stems. And then if we look back a year ago, we're talking about the annual report, and that's basically that. We can move on, Obas. Then if we look at section 1272, it says the mayor of a municipality must, within seven months after the end of a financial year, table in the municipal council the annual report of the municipality. And that tabling took place in January 2024 under council item E301 2024. Chairperson, then again, section 1291 once again says the council must consider the annual report of the municipality and by no later than 2 months from the date on which the annual report was tabled. Remember now we talked about January. February, March is 2 months before the end of February. In terms of section 127, adopt an oversight report containing the council's comments on the annual report, which must include a statement whether the council A has approved the annual report with or without reservations, 2, has rejected the annual report, or C, has referred the annual report back for revision of those components that can be revised. Now, it's important, Chairperson, this is where the oversight is taking place now through the MPAC committee, which will refer a recommendation to council in this regard. And then section 1292 says the accounting officer must attend council meeting and council committee meetings where the annual report is discussed for the purpose of responding to questions concerning the report. That's why, Chairperson, we have the whole of the directors, CFO, everybody is here. If there are any questions from the MPAC members today, we will want to respond to those questions. Yeah. And then, Chairperson, the next slide is just the accountability cycle, which we all know so well. It starts off with the IDP. Out of the IDP stems a budget, and then we have the SDBIP, and then the in-year reporting, which is your section 71, 72, and 52 reports, which MPAC knows about. And from that flows the annual financial statements that the auditor just has given a report on now. And from that, the annual report. And if you look back at the arrow to the left, Chairperson, it reports, it points to the oversight report, which is the most important, because if that report is not in place, council cannot accept the annual report finally. And that is basically where we are now. Chairperson, the next slide, I don't want to bore you with that. It's basically just the composition or components of the annual report as it stands now. It's got 6 chapters, and then it's got appendixes, as well as the annual financial statements, which forms part of the annual report. We can move over. Chairperson, that's the audit outcomes for 22 and 23. As can be seen, we've sustained the clean audit, and I think that's what the AG referred to for the past 3 financial years. OB. Now, Chairperson, I'm starting to give you some highlights now from the annual report regarding specific service delivery issues. And the first one is the water provision highlights. We can see there, Chairperson, how many preventative maintenance tasks have been completed by the department, as well as how many water meters replaced, new connections, burst water pipelines repaired, and then water meter related repair work completed. It's quite a lot, Chairperson, if you just look at the numbers there. And then just some facts on the right-hand side regarding our infrastructure as far as water is concerned. We can see that we've got 4 dams and 8 boreholes, 7 purification plants, 30 pump stations, and 55 reservoirs. Chairperson, right at the bottom, we can see what our capacities are as far as water is concerned. 72 megaliters per day, average daily volume for the 22-23. And then the average daily volume purified for the financial year in question is 24,000 megaliters. And the Director of Technical Service will indicate to you that beyond that, we still have capacity to deliver clean and healthy water to our citizens. Okay. The next one is regarding the sanitation provision. Just to highlight, Chairperson, there we can once again see more than 1,000 preventative maintenance tasks, 540 new sewer connections for the year, more than 1,000, almost 1,700 blockages, which was open. And then we have 52,622 kiloliters of sewage discharged at wastewater treatment plant. So quite a lot that went through our plants. And then the infrastructure facts there, 73 sewer pump stations, 7 wastewater treatment plants. And then if we look at the amount of megaliters that was served, that was treated, Chairperson, the Director Technical Service will tell you that we still have capacity beyond what we have delivered there. Yeah. And then, Chairperson, the third very important service the municipality renders is electricity provision. Once again, Chairperson, the figures look very, very impressive. 2,712 preventative maintenance tasks completed. And then we had 5 operations to remove illegal connections for the year. That is huge operations, Chairperson, where you remove about a ton of illegal electrical wires in our townships. And then we also have 1,091 illegal connections removed during those operations, those 5 operations. That's why I say it's a huge amount of electrical wiring that's been taken off our poles and so on, Chairperson. And then we have 932 informal and formal households electrified as part of our UISP program for the town for the year, Chairperson. The next service then is basically our refuse removal, Chairperson. And if you look at the bullets there, we have buyback centers established in Kwa at the transfer station. We've purchased 1 new compactor. We completed the rehabilitation projects for the year as per the land closure provisions report. This is very important for the agent, the AG Chairperson. They spoke about contingent liabilities. And then we have maintained monthly recycle rates between 15 to 22%, which exceeds the applicable national targets, Chairperson. A few years ago, we were around about 10%, but we've done very well to move up to 22% in some of the months. And then household hazardous waste open days have been greatly reduced the amount of hazardous waste from entering the environment via illegal dumping. The department had a couple of those days for the community to bring their hazardous waste to be discharged off here. Chairperson, then just a few highlights on the infrastructure services. There we can see the capital expenditure. I'm not going to go through all the bullets there, but the capital expenditure for the year in question, Chairperson, roads and stormwater, almost 90% expenditure. The same with water, sewage, almost 95%, and electricity, we touch 95%. That is exceptional, Chairperson, under these days where you have so many challenges as far as supply chain management is concerned. So we can give our directors applause for that. The last slide then, Chairperson, is our financial ratios, which at the end of the year, you used to see this slide when the CFO makes his presentations. All our ratios were basically the current debt to cash, debtors payment ratio, as well as turnover accounts receivable is basically in the green. I thank you, Chairperson. If there are any questions, me and the directors will be at liberty to answer as far as we can. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Municipal Manager. I think for the committee, The presentation that the municipal manager just gave us is part of this annual report. So, it comes out of this document. So there's no need for us to have now questions and questions again. This is the one thing. However, the one thing, municipal manager, for you and your director sitting here, that for me is very important, and you mentioned it, the fact that this illegal, what do you call it, illegal wiring, that is for me a big concern. I was in a meeting this morning whereby community members is very much worried about gangsters also get involved in this stuff. And there's two names. The gangsters that is taking over our town is the one-timers and the rebels. For me, it was new, because if there's a gang in my town, then I know it firsthand. So I think I know where they resided, because I heard there's big gangs where they are living. But this is something that we, as a municipality, must urgently look at. We have our JOC security division. We must urgently work on these things, because this is worrying me, because people was crying this morning when they informed me about what's happening. And when we come back to this illegal wirings, one day I was there when the municipality, with a lot of, I don't know if it's the red ends we are, but there was a lot of police. I think there was about 50 vehicles, people walking all over the street. And you was not even gone. I was standing there in Mazola Street. They put it back. People were still in the street, seeing that they put it back. And they also say, we took it off and there it's back. We are not even gone. So that is stuff like that that is worrying me. That is the only thing that I want to mention. So now we can go over to our annual report for questions to the MM and the directors. And the one-timers and the rebels. And it's mostly youngsters, Joe Slovo, and there's always people coming out of prison that is ruling them from one side. But they use the youngsters. But they are also cruel. They are killing people. They are not playing. The other thing that I want to say is that I think it's the best for us to handle the questions is that, say, for instance, Councillor Gous have questions. Then just for example. Well, maybe I must make another example. Yeah, sorry, my sister. But let me rather start at one point. Say, for instance, I have 20 questions, and Janetta have 15 questions. Now, 15 of her questions is part of my 20 questions. Then I can mark it's finished. So let us start at a point and then we go around. All right, can we start? Any questions from anyone? Start here with Ms. Wellman and then Mrs. Mvumvu. This is a big report. It's a year's report. I know you will not say nothing. I must speak within this mic, sorry. I know you will speak to me. Any questions? Now we will wait and see. Yeah. Can we start with questions this side, at my right-hand side? Let me ask Councillor Wellman, anything from your side at the current moment?
At the current moment, no questions from me, Chairperson.
All right.
Thank you.
Councillor Mvumvu? I know you will have questions. I know you.
No, Chair. I don't have.
Not for now.
Not for now, yes.
Okay. Councillor Erika? You're covered. All right. Then my sister there at the back, Councillor Gwaza.
Thank you, Chair. At the moment, no questions until I receive that information that was presented.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Councillor Aniki, anything from your side? Any questions?
Nothing now. Thank you, Chair. I think I say the same, that we have everything, and it's a lot of information. We are very glad that we can also hear this in this meeting, these presentations.
All right. Thank you so much. Councillor Lodewijk Kutsia.
Chairperson, no
questions?
questions from my side. Thank you.
Then I come back to Councillor Gous. Councillor Gous, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm not going to ask a lot of questions because I've already made a determination on there's only 3 recommendations that can be made, and that's to either approve the annual report with or without reservations, reject the annual report, or refer the annual report back for revision of those components that can be revised. I'm going to, as the ACDP, abstain on all 3 of those recommendations. And I do have just 3 questions that I want to ask now. The first thing I'd like to just get clarity on is the deficit in the previous year was blamed on a significant decrease in our valuation roll, which directly affected municipal property and thus our value. It also impacted on the revenue that we could receive from rates and taxes. But in this report, we mention on page 65 that there's an ever-increasing value of property in Mossel Bay. So how do we explain that? And then if the MM could please provide more clarity when he says that his role, according to legislation, is to ensure that there's accountability. To whom is that accountability? Is that accountability to council? Is it to the residents? To whom is that accountability? We have had a discussion on the 13 million rand that was returned due to not being spent for housing. If we could just have a slightly more detailed reason for that, I'd appreciate it. And then also, if we could have the definition of a municipal entity. Then my last question is it true that the Auditor General is revising the clean audit outcome due to the Hawks investigation?
You finished, Councillor? 3 questions from Councillor Gous. 4 questions. MM?
Chairperson, let me just identify. The first question will be the CFO. The second question will be myself. The third question will be Director Venter. And the 4th question, I will give the answer to that. Thank you. If you will allow us, can we do it in that?
It's fine. CFO?
Thank you, Chair. With regards to the first question regarding the significant deficit in the previous year, yes, the valuation role is in terms of the market value. Yes, we have an ever increasing number of houses and the value that goes up. But if we had to look on page 22 of the financial statements in the annual report, you will see that there was a big amount of asset impairment in that year that we had the valuation report. Then we identified that some of our assets were twice where to bring that values down. That's why there's that big impairment in the 2021-22 financial year that had to be adjusted for.
You want to follow up?
Okay.
There's a light there.
Sorry, thank you, Chair. Through you to our CFO. Could he just explain again? He said in the valuation role, because I never heard him clearly. I'm sorry, my hearing is, sorry.
Regards to the valuation role, when they did it back in 2021, that obviously adjusted for all properties adjusted up. However, the municipal properties were, let's call it, overvalued because we started cutting away from property and selling it off. And so that obviously decreased the amount. So there was impairment that had to be done on our own properties. And that impairment is on our own properties, not on those of the residents out there, that everybody saw a big increase in their property values. Good.
Imam?
Thank you, Chairperson. I'm first going to respond to the clarity about accountability. Chairperson, the accounting officer is accountable to council, but also to the community. I think each one of the municipal, all of us are accountable to the community. I hope that answers the question that council is asking.
Follow up, Chair. If I can just ask then, and it's not my intention to embarrass anybody, so please, Chair, if you can accept this in the spirit with which I'm asking it. If it's true that the legislative responsibility is to be accountable to councillors and to the community, how can it then be that if a councillor asks specifically for information that will relate to possible fruitless and wasteless expenditure, in the terms of, for example, a court order that this municipality took somebody to court, got a court order, and it seems as if the court order isn't being complied with. Then I ask for a copy of the court order and I ask for the costs that were incurred in order to get that court order. And I get told as a councillor of this municipality that I have to fill out a PIA application for that. How is that accountability?
Imam?
Person, I'm also going to say that I understand where Councillor Gous comes from and the spirit in which you say it. Please respect the spirit in which I'm also going to say it now. We love each other very much as brothers and sisters. There are rules of orders for councillors, Chairperson, and I think Rule 69 is very explicit. If a councillor wants information, if you read that rule properly, if you understand the spirit of it, councillor can have information to do oversight role as far as the councillor work is concerned. If it's not for the councillor's work, if it's for any other reasons, then she must do it according to the PIA. And the accounting officer must apply his mind when he receives a request for information, whether it's for oversight or whether it's for any other reasons. Chairperson, it's a difficult one, but no councillor will not receive information. Councillor Gous will be aware. We gave a lot of information or answers to her questions in the past, but unfortunately, there are some where we say rather apply according to PIA. You get the information, but apply in according, because at that stage, I'm not convinced that it's for oversight role. And we don't want to dwell in the past. I say it in a very good spirit, Councillor Gous.
Councillor Gous, before you answer, I just want to say the matter that you raise, we will not resolve it, not even in council. But there is also other mechanisms. The mechanism that my party is currently using. If there's any blockades, we go to national minister, not provincial minister, national minister. We are currently investigating the exact thing that you are talking about, and we will address it on the highest level. So I just want to say to you that. But then the last thing that I want to say, and that is about the MPAC. MPAC has changed in total, but not in Mossel Bay. Currently, we are working on the charter, our terms of reference. So currently, this is also with the national minister. Yeah, the provincial minister also. But I can do nothing until there's no answer. So I had to abide with this charter. it means nothing. So if you understand what I'm saying. All right, thanks. Is there other question that is not answered, Councillor Gous?
Yes, Chairperson, if you'll allow me, yeah.
Okay.
There's a one that I'm going to ask Mr. Venter now to answer. And then there's another one on what a municipal entity is. Then I believe we've answered all the questions. Carl?
Just hold on. Give Councillor Gous chance to follow up.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to ask, would it fall under the mandate of oversight to determine if there's been fruitless and wasteful expenditure, or to ask the accounting officer to investigate whether there has been fruitless and wasteful expenditure? Would the Mossel Bay municipality consider that the role of a councillor?
Are you asking this to?
I'm asking our MM through you.
Okay.
Chairperson, there's nothing wrong with that. If the councillor refers to something, ask whether there was fruitless or wasteful expenditure, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. We'll give her the answer. Yeah.
Thank you, MM. Mr. Venter, you're welcome.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I was late to you, Chair. I was late in the chambers. I was actually on Teams, and I was reminded that it's also the Teams session is actually not for me, but more for Auditor General personnel. So I quickly joined you in the chambers. Come back to the question, Chairperson, through you again. There's various reasons to that why we it actually. We try to prevent it, but it's not always possible due to, first of all, the differences in financial years. So what happens is sometimes the department, which is now called the Department of Infrastructure, they have an adjustment budget also in January or at the end of November, when they do tend to gazette sometimes, because we submit funding requests to them throughout the year. And as soon as they realize they have maybe additional funds available, which they did not gazette initially, they tend to gazette it within the adjustment, their adjustment budget. But our adjustment budget is, let's say they do it in November, then they gazette it in November, but our adjustment budget is only at the end of February, meaning that that is the only time that we can actually start to use that money. We do get, if we are certain about that, we do get approval to proceed once an amount is gazetted to start the supply chain process, but you can't appoint a contractor unless the funds is secured. And first of all, unless there's a funding agreement signed between us and the department. So that brings me to the next point. And then secondly, if that funds is also been in our budget and paid over in our coffers. Now, the second reason is the funding agreements. The department did struggle, and this year the same thing happened. So we will probably report the same in next year's budget. But it took them quite some time to finalize their funding agreements, not only with Mossel Bay, but with all municipalities in the Western Cape. They did acknowledge to that, and that was due to the amalgamation between the 2 or 3 departments to form the one department, which is now called the Department of Infrastructure. So they had to put their respective delegations, frameworks, and so on in place in order for those agreements to be signed, first of all, on their side, or actually be agreed and then signed by us and then signed by them. So that took them a while to get those funding agreements in place. And then secondly, it's also supply chain processes to a certain extent that, and no, we're not blaming the process, it's simply that you go out, it take you 3 to 4 months to go out, and then you do not get successful bidders. So then you have to, again, go out. We also need to there's a difference, for instance, between rollovers. We do ask for rollovers, but if you are not committed, then meaning that there is a contractor appointed, then the department tend to not allow for the rollover and we repay the funds. But what they do is they don't end the project. They just re-gazette a new amount in the next gazette available. So it becomes quite a tricky situation. I tend to say that, I always rather say, let's look at the performance of a specific project. And there, for instance, we can go to the upgrading of informal settlements project, where we know there's been delays due to the uprising that happened and the subsequent land evasions and so on, that made us now to rethink the project, not stopping the project at all, but the way we're going to roll it out. So that also has an effect on expenditure and how we're going to spend the money. So maybe if there's a concern regarding a specific human settlement project, and I will end with that, then the councillors or the committee members are more than welcome to approach us and say what happened on this specific project, and then we can give details to that. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah, thank you, Director Venter. Follow up.
Thank you, Chair, and through you to Director Venter. Thank you, Director Venter. Please excuse my memory. It's difficult to try and remember what's happened in this last, because we're almost at the end of another financial year now, and we're dealing with the year before that. So sometimes it gets a bit mixed up in a person's memory, but I recall, I think it was an amount of 8 million rand, but it might possibly be this year that we had that predicament with the adjustment, that they're not aligned, the budgets that are not aligned. So of this 12 million, how much of that, if it's an unfair question to ask you that like this on the spot, my apologies, and then I will submit the question to you in writing, but how much of that 12 million was due to the fact that it was budget, alignment discrepancies? Because I recall, and I don't know if it was in this financial year with this, I don't think it was with this adjustment budget, but with the previous one, we also had rollovers that we'd applied for that were not approved. If you can just give me clarity on that, thank you.
Just on the last one, since I've been in this municipality, no one project was ever stopped because of funding either not being rolled over or funds to be returned. And simply because we get, as soon as the new gazette happens, then we get the money again. So I think that is important in terms of performance and our service delivery to the communities. The fact that no project has been stopped because of funds being returned, it's simply our, I don't want to say the fiscus, let's rather say the bureaucracy of government works and operate, and the complexities between the various spheres of government when it comes to budgets. But the specific amount and how much was not spent in that particular year, but spent in this year, if I can throw that into the mix, the over 8 million, I don't have it with me, Chairperson, unfortunately.
Thank you, Director. MM.
Chairperson, there's still two questions for Councillor Gous. The one is the municipal entity, and the other one is the one about the investigation of the hawks. Let me the question of the municipal entity, Chairperson, I will never underestimate Councillor Gous's intelligence. It's defined in the Systems Act, Chapter 1. It's a very broad, I can read it, I've got it open here if you wish me to, but I know Councillor Gous will know what it is basically. Can I read it quickly, Chairperson? It's just a paragraph. A municipal entity means a company, cooperative, trust, fund, or any other corporate entity established in terms of any applicable national or provincial legislation, and which operates under the ownership, control of one or more municipalities, and includes, in the case of a company under such ownership control, any subsidiary of that company or a service utility. That's basically the definition of an entity according to the Systems Act. Yeah. And then the last, is there a follow-up, Councillor? I don't. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, through you to our municipal manager. Thank you, MM. You are correct. I have read that. My concern is that, for example, when we have established the MPOs, for example, the non-profit for discovery, the Point Discovery Centre, then we've basically established them as standalone companies, and they're not in any way affiliated to the municipality, but we provide them with funding. Now, I'm just thinking with the JOC as well, where we have established a non-profit, or I actually can't remember if it's a non-profit or if it's a non-profit company, or if it's, yeah, I think it's a non-profit company, hey? Is that the majority of their funding comes from the Mossel Bay municipality, from what I can recall from the reports that we've received. So is it just a technicality in the sense that we're saying the JOC is not a municipal entity? Because if the majority of the funding is coming from the Mossel Bay municipality, would it not be wiser to then rather, we say we don't have it listed as a municipal entity, and yet we're reporting on it in our annual reports? I can't understand why we're doing that if it's a separate, because we don't do the same thing with our the Point Discovery Center, for example. I hope I'm making myself clear. I'm just trying to understand that why are we reporting on it if it's not a municipal entity, even though it receives most of its funding from us?
Yeah. So that is also one of my questions.
Yeah.
To find out where do we stand with the JOC.
Okay.
In this document, it's part of the municipality. But when we come to council, it's the NPC. So we also don't understand what is going on. Thank you.
Chairperson, I'm never going to say something which I cannot fully back here. Councillor Gous have got a memory like an elephant. She'll tell you 2 years, you said A, B, and C. I'm going to ask I don't have the answer to that right now. I'm going to ask the CFO if he can assist. If not, we'll ask to come back as far as that is concerned.
Okay. With regards to the MPCs and the municipal entities, is how the structure is for that specific entity. If a majority of the control of that entity lies under the municipality, then you can say it's a municipal entity, which means its reporting, its financial statements, at the end of the day, all have to form part of the municipality. So it's not going to do with the amount of money that goes there, or the significant how much of the money that they have as part of their total income, but more the control in itself. If I take an example, the Point Discovery as an example, they may get 100,000 from us, but they could also say that maybe just one member of the municipality sitting on the board of 5. We don't have control there. Yes, we've given them 100,000, but we don't control how the management takes place. That's how you assess a municipal entity. From a financial perspective, we're very wary of NPOs because at some point, where does the control lie, and then will it affect our reporting from a financial point of view? So that's something we always want to look at from a financial point of view. It is how much influence does the municipality have on it? It's not just with funding, but in how it gets operated and managed on a day-to-day operations, that thing. That's how you assess a municipal entity based on how the legislation is read.
Follow up?
Yes, please. So why are we reporting on it in the financial statements, and why is our director of community services, safety, why is his KPIs being measured on specific progress reports of the JOC?
Yeah. MM.
Chairperson.
Sorry, MM, before you answer, let us also include the KPIs to do with the K9 unit. Say, for instance, the K9 unit, the dog unit. Let me put it like that. This dog unit is a once-off. You spend once, but now it's part of your KPI, and the KPI is ongoing. So just to answer that, I don't understand that. Maybe I'm stupid.
Yeah, Chairperson, I think the progress report that Councillor Gous referred to was when they were building the JOC, before it was operational. That can I remember, because I remember I was a director at that time. just to ensure that progress are being made and that the work is not necessarily stretched out over time. And I think that's what I can remember about that. I don't know if Orlando, can you add to that?
So with regards to the reporting, and similarly to any transfer payment or subsidy, if we pay a transfer to an organization who says, look, you said you want to do A, B, and C, here's some funding to do it. It would be as part of Section 67 of the MFMA, it is requirement for them to have controls in place before we pay the money over. They must have certain controls in place to make sure we know the money is not going to be spent in so it's going to just be spent not in terms of what they had indicated to us. And as part of that regulation as well, or part of that section, they also have to report back to us, and that's the report we bring back to council as part of this is what they indicate that they're spending, this is what they're achieving, just as a general of how municipal funds are being spent that was transferred to them during the financial year.
Chairperson, you've got other hands here. Maybe can I address the last question of Councillor Gous, the Hawks? Then maybe Chairperson, you can.
Yeah, you can address it.
It's fine?
It's fine.
Okay.
I will go to the hands now.
Yeah. Chairperson, the question from Councillor Gous, is it true that the AG is revising the clean audit because of the impending investigation by the Hawks? I'm not aware of that, and I don't know if and I think they would have told us when they made I don't know if, I'm not aware as the account. I haven't received anything from them. Yeah, that's the answer. CFO, did you receive anything about the?
They would have informed us accordingly. And we haven't, and it would have been one of the items under material irregularities. From what I've heard in the province, they will issue with it, and as part of what the audit team had indicated, they will issue you and sign off your audit report on time, but it can be amended if they identify material irregularity, or they identify during the audit, just didn't finalize it. By the time they signed, they will then come back to you and say, look, we're going to add this to the audit report before it becomes part of the annual report, and we don't have any such instances.
Thank you. Is that all the questions answered? Councillor Gous?
Chair, thank you. I have other questions, but I'm not going to ask them now. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gous. Henry?
I just want to bring your attention, Councillor Aniki has had a hand up on the Teams link, as well as Councillor Kutsia.
I can see them, yeah.
Okay.
I will attend to them now. Councillor Lodewyk Kutsia, your hand is up. Anything from your side?
Chairperson, yeah, I lowered my hand, but I just want to say that I think we have to be careful when we mention NPCs in terms of a blanket statement, because, for example, the PDC that was mentioned did not receive any funds from the municipality. The PDC fundraise and get funds from the community and other departmental organizations. So we should just caution on blanket statements of all NPCs. It's not the case. Thank you.
Councillor Lodewyk, yeah, I hear you, but if you go to your annual report, it states differently. So let everyone have chance to answer his question, ask his question, and let we have answers. But I hear you. Thank you for your question. Councillor Gous, are you finished?
Chair, just for clarity,
Chair.
not.
Councillor Aniki, I will come back to you now, just a follow-up.
Yes, just on a point of personal explanation, Chair. The NPC for the Point Discovery Centre has in the past received funding from the Mossel Bay municipality. It doesn't currently, to the best of my knowledge, but it has in the past.
Thank you. Councillor Aniki, your hand was up.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it also that we also attend this meeting through Teams. I want to say thank you through you, Chair, for our for the municipality entity, this System Act. I think as a councillor of Mossel Bay municipality, I feel very strongly that what we have in Mossel Bay, it's to invest in our town, and I know that if we have questions, is to we must have questions. But I think at the end of the day, if I look what we did in Mossel Bay and also on our funding and our directors, our and also through, I'm going to say the JOC and everything that we've done, it's a benefit for Mossel Bay municipality. We are an example in this whole country. So that's all I want to say to you. But I want to say, Chair, I have great respect for the and also for the directors and also the employee that really putting everything in our town. If I look to in our just to me when I listen to the CFO and I listened what they have and they're really honest. If they don't have an answer, they don't not going to like we said, horror this word. They going to say no, we don't have it because it's a long time ago. And what I respect for is that the fundings that it's used and the operated, what I put everything here also in. I think we must just sit down and think: are we, if we want to be one of the country or the municipalities more upper in the Cape province or even in another province, let's say thank you, because we like to pray, and if we believe, we will stand together, and that's what I want to ask. We're going in I know there is a lot of political things outside, but what I want to ask is, please let us as councillors and let we take the hands of our municipality and is doing very good. Let's go and we go forward positive. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Aniki, for your input. But we are not in a political war in this room. We are fine. We are calm and collected. We ask questions and we answer the questions, not a problem. But thanks for your input.
I don't mean it, sorry, that we are there in a political mood in the council. I mean outside, so we must assist us inside. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Aniki. Appreciate. From my side, CFO, I'm not going to go through all the stuff that is marked here. I will come to your office, but the only thing that I want to say, and can make one or two examples, is that when we have our actual budget, then, like for instance, let me make this example. We have capital spare pump stations. Yeah. You can go to page 37. Thank you. It's sorry, CFO. Yeah, therefore a sewage capital spare pump. We budget 200,000. Then our adjustment budget is 772,000. Then we spent only 104,000. There's a lot of that stuff here, and I marked it is yellow all the way. So I will come to you. Let me speak about this because we don't understand that. Okay.
Like, that's actually a very good example. And it's obviously due to amount of money and cutting on the CRR just before the budget gets approved and when it gets stable. So initially they had capital pump that they needed, not 100% sure on how much they needed. So in fact, with the original budget, they may have gone and said, look, I don't know when this project is going to take. Let's cut that project. Let's just get it started. So then it will start off with the 200,000. then during the year, they'll then revisit that specific project and then identify, but no, I actually need 722,000. So now they have to wait up until the February adjustment budget before they can start any type of procurement process, because it will be very, we shouldn't try and start a process that's going to cost me 700,000 with only a budget of 200,000. That if let's say everything is spent in that year, I would have overspent on that specific budget. So what then happens is they wait for the budget on the adjustment budget to be finalized and put on the adjustment budget, and then the procurement process starts. And with a whole lot of backlog or amount of work that has to go into supply chain processes, you will find that 104,000 was partially spent because the contractor or service provider was appointed late, and then they could only start ordering the parts, resulting in not or the whole project be completed, which means it would have rolled over into the next financial year, then obviously spent in the 23-24 financial year. That's an example. So obviously each one will have its own instance and case. As Director Vente has indicated that due to his delays in the SCM, there were funds that he also had to roll over, which is something that's similar in nature.
Yeah, if you just go 3 lines lower, and you find out the replacement of the pipelines, sewage pipelines between Mossel Bay and Hartenbos. Budget 3 million, adjustment budget 700,000, just spent 500,000.
Yes, Susan. So that was probably a reprioritization of the project. We just see which one is that. Obviously, the director would be able to give better, be able to get into detail.
And he's now gone. Yeah, but
that would be a reprioritization as an example. And then maybe the project was delayed due to other circumstances, and then the funds utilized somewhere else as part of the adjustment budget. But that, if I look at that, we just need to make sure that our comparisons,
variances that seem a bit strange. The format that we have to use in those tables is derived from a National Treasury template, and the variance is the variance is not expenditure related. It's a variance between the budget and the adjustment budget. So that's the background to that. Okay. If you want to compare your capital expenditure, it's better to look in your performance section on the landscape pages where your KPIs are met, where we've got all of the services aggregated together, where you can see for electricity, similar to what the MM has presented in his presentation, where you can see per service what was the total capital expenditure, and then you can derive a more accurate variance on that.
Okay, thank you for that one. Just one last thing from my side is also the casino the switch gear of the casino. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Budgeted for 30,000, 1 million, 20,000, 4 million, but nothing happened. No adjustment, no actual expenditure, nothing. Can somebody just answer that one, and the rest I will come to you.
Chairperson, I think Mr. Naidu would have been in the best position, because as is Nati Grati now, I don't think any of us around the table have got the explanation for that now.
Page 41.
Yeah, no, I've got it on page 49. Yeah. But I know, Chairperson, you normally visit the directors when you are at liberty to do it and so on. It's a pity you had to attend to something else.
No, MM, I will go there. They can charge me. I will go to the CFO, to all the directors. Yeah, but MM, Council calls me for your answer. You must remember there was a resolution taken in this council that we can't go to directors. But I ignored it. and I will not abide to that one, they can dismiss me. But thank you for and directors that you are prepared to assist us. Now we go to our consideration of our annual report. From I heard already from Councillor Gous. Do you want to say something else before we conclude?
Thank you for your patience, Chair. I was sort of interrupted with the train of thought when we were getting explanations on the JOC. I just want to understand the relationship clearly because, like, for example, the armored vehicles, are they listed as assets on the municipality's balance sheet? And we loan them. What exactly is the relationship between JOC and the municipality? Because that to me is not clearly defined, and that's why I had the question about the municipal.
Point of order, Chair. I think we have it.
What is the point of order, Councillor?
Point of order, Chair. I think I just want to. There's rules that we have. If we speak, it's 5 minutes and not more. At this stage, we're going through this, and I know, but you can laugh.
No.
But the JOC and all the details about the JOC, it's the whole time on here, and I know. But can this? I know you want to bring it here.
Councillor Aniki, no, that is not a point of order. Please, man, that's not a point of order. We can ask the to answer. If the say no, you don't want to answer, then it's fine. But it's definitely not a point of order. Thank you. Oh, Councillor Gous.
Thank you, Chair. Just to complete my thought, is the fact that I'm trying to understand what that line is between our JOC or the JOC and a municipal entity and the municipality, because it seems to me that there's a very blurred line. And the reason why I'm asking, same as all my other questions, is first of all, oversight, but also to protect the municipality. That is part of my mandate as a councillor.
Yeah, do you want to answer it?
Chairperson, maybe I should make a suggestion that every month the agendas are here at committee, it goes to council under the mayoral items. The councillor is free to ask the questions there. As far as the question about the APCs, that the staff of community safety reports to the director. The equipment belongs to the municipality, not to the job. That is the factual thing, Chairperson. The vehicles, the APCs, everything belongs to the municipality. The job gets an amount of 3 million per year. They put up cameras. That's their work. But the staff reports to the director later gaan, whose office is also at the job and so on. Yeah.
Okay.
But the Councillor Gous can ask any questions at committees or whatever. There's a committee on safety that.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Gous. Councillor Gous, I just want to say this one thing about JOC. We will not, the Freedom Front Plus will not ask questions about JOC in either this meeting or in council, because it's difficult for our administration to answer it, because we know why. We take it up to national and there will be an investigation in any case. So just to let you know about what, and I say it in front of everybody, we will investigate the whole NPC thing and the whole JOC thing with the municipality. Thank you so much.
My hand, Chairperson.
Yes, you can answer.
No, Chairperson, I just want to say, earlier you said it's not a political forum, and you yourself make political comments. You've just said that the Freedom Front Plus won't go towards the municipality or the province, but I want to congratulate the Freedom Front Plus for having a direct line to the ANC government, as they've been in the cabinet of the ANC government in the past. Thank you, Chairperson.
You are out of order. You are totally out of line.
Chair,
We are far from the politicians. No,
Chair?
no, Aniki, no.
Chair, you can't say no to me.
Leave-
I'm a
No,
councillor.
if it is a political statement, you will not make this political
Chair,
statement
you
here.
are supposed to mention your political statement. You are the chairperson.
Listen here, you can say, everybody can say here, whether it's DA or ANC or whatever it is. So that's not a problem. The point that I wanted to make to Councillor Gous is that there's no need to debate this issue here about the joke. There's other measures that we can go to, and there's nothing that nobody can do about it. So we can't sit hours and hours to debate something that we know there will be no answers. It's difficult. So that's the reason why I said we can rather go to the next level, and there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you so much. Is there any other questions before I conclude? Councillor Gous already
Chair.
stated the case.
I don't have any questions. I'd just like to state that the ACDP has mentioned several of these issues that the Auditor General highlighted. I made a note of them here just quickly, that these are matters that the ACDP has raised in MPAC and in council meetings several times. Our debtor collection, our escalating debt, our provision for debt. If we look at those ratios as well, we can see, if we look to the outer years, that we're expecting that to get worse and not better. And I want to really just caution. Look, we know that the budget is not just an administrative document. It's a document driven by a political will. And we need to caution the governing party then on needless expenditure, because we cannot afford it anymore. We are running into a space we are no longer going to be able to fund our budget. And that's a very big concern for me. Not because I'm from an opposition party, but because I live in this town and because I care for this municipality. It's my job to make sure that we keep the municipality in a good financial and sound position.
Okay,
Thank you, Chair.
Is that something that you want us to build in the recommendation to council?
I would really like it noted again as a very sincere concern.
Okay, then
Thank you.
And I just want you after this meeting to channel it to Henry so that we can put it in the report. Is there any other questions from anyone before we go to the recommendation? Recommendation that the Municipal Public Accounts Committee MPAC report to council that it has received the 2023 annual report and recommends approval of the annual report by council without reservations. Is there a proposal and a seconder?
Chairperson, I will propose.
Yeah, there's just one secundi that can propose, so he's on, so he can propose.
Chair, I second this.
Aniki is then the seconder. Thank you so much. I just want to state also the Freedom Front Plus. The Freedom Front Plus has the following to say about this report. We don't have a problem with the report itself. The reason why we as the Freedom Front Plus will abstain from the report is because of the fact that all the municipalities accept the new legislation for MPAC chairpersons to be full-time, and in Mossel Bay not. And the only reason that the legislation said that you can't appoint a full-time in a municipality, there's just one reason: if you don't have any money. And I don't think this municipality have no money. So that is the Freedom Front Plus reason. So we will also abstain from the report. But thank you very much for all the directors and all the councillors that was here at this meeting and participate. And you must enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.